Today I'll be reading Mr. Penguin and the Fortress of Secrets. Let's get a little bit of taste of what happens from the blurb. Meet Mr. Penguin, adventurer and penguin. He has a dashing hat, his packed lunch. He is very keen. When Mr. Penguin and Colin crash land on a snowy mountain, they discover an old ruined fortress. Many people's pets are missing. And there are shadowy figures lurking about. What could this all mean? Now, let's get on with the story. Mr. Penguin and the Fortress of Secrets. My plan is simple. I'm going to take over the world. Boo! Mr. Penguin's adventures began in Mr. Penguin and the Lost Treasure. Mr. Penguin and the Fortress of Secrets. Mr. Penguin is a penguin. If you aren't sure whether he is one or not, all you had to do was look at him. Here he is now. He looks like a penguin. He is all black and white, with a little beak and two flappy flippers. When he walks, his bottom wiggles in the exactly sort of way a penguin's bottom should wiggle. But there's something rather unusual about Mr. Penguin. You see, he isn't just a penguin. He is an adventurer. He has a dashing hat, enormous magnifying glass, battered satchel, with a nice packed lunch of fish finger sandwiches inside to prove it. Mr. Penguin's best friend is a spider. His name is Colin. He's really good at kung fu, so you better watch out. Kapow! The woman with the headscarf, she's called Edith Hedge. She's Mr. Penguin's other best friend. The pigeon on her head is Gordon. He doesn't say much. Together, they've already been on an adventure called Mr. Penguin and the Lost Treasure. Are you ready to join them on another? Ooh, I'm not sure. This might be scary. I found something. It says, Mr. Penguin's home and office, an igloo between two enormous skyscrapers in Cityville is in darkness. All is still. The swivel chair behind the desk is empty. A cloth is draped neatly over the typewriter. And Mr. Penguin's special hat is not hanging on the coat rack as usual. In fact, it's not there at all. The only sound is the humming of the refrigerator. On the mat by the front door, post is piling up. On top of the little hill, hill of post is a letter. It is neatly addressed and the stamp from a very far away place. It is stuck down next to the words Air Mail. Inside the letter says, let's read the address first. 4 Strudels, Horse of Strudel, No 9, the Town Square, Skneedorf, on the Peak, Skneedorf. Dear Mr. Penguin, my name is Dieter Strudel. I live up a mountain and I can't find my hamster. Actually, quite a lot of rodent pets have gone missing recently, and there are loads of other strange things going on here too. I've read about your adventures in the newspaper, and I think you might just be the penguin to help me. I know you and your friend Colin are good at solving mysteries. I don't have much money in my piggy bank, but my mum runs the bakery here, so you can have as many cakes as you can eat. Please come and help me. I really miss Colonel Tuftybum, my hamster. Yours hopefully, Dieter Strudel. That's the end of the letter. But Mr. Penguin hasn't read the letter yet because he isn't at home. Where on earth can he be? Chapter 1. A Dark and Shadowy Deal. 60,000 miles from Cityville. Golden Pagoda Hotel. The open-air ballroom was heaving on the roof of the luxurious Golden Pagoda Hotel. Glamorous couples pranced around the dance floor in the hot, sticky jasmine-scented night air. Framed by a pair of spangly curtains, a live band were on the stage. They honked and parked their way through a melody of jazzy hits. Immaculately dressed waiters fluttered about like hummingbirds, chopping up glasses with fizzy champagne. Corks popped, bamboo swayed, and the hoots of laughter filled the air. Everyone was having a wonderful time. Well, almost everyone. In a dark and shadowy corner. A dark and shadowy deal was being done. A small, scrawny man with a face like a cross-eyed rat was sitting at a table. Beads of sweat ran down his nose. 2 enormous men sat opposite him, their faces disappearing off into the gloom. Between them was a very glamorous lady, tiny compared to her bodyguards, and dressed elegantly in a black frock. A small silver brooch by her shoulder, a circle containing an eye, twinkled in the candlelight when she spoke. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Do you have it? She hissed in a dangerous sort of voice. The ratty man nodded. He was so nervous the end of his wispy moustache wobbled about like worried whiskers. Carefully, he lifted a bundle of rags onto the table and started to unravel it. The lady's eyes glinted greedily when the object inside was revealed. She nodded to the giant bodyguard on her left. He extended a hand the size of a tea tray and took the treasure with one swipe, placing it delicately into a padded briefcase and clicking it deceitfully shut. Meanwhile, the other bodyguard had taken out a huge pile of money from inside his jacket and placed it on the table. The ratty man didn't wait to be told to take the cash. With shaking hands, he grabbed the money and shoved it frantically down the front of his trousers, then gave a curt nod, weaved his way through the crowded dance floor, and slid down the back stairs into the night. He did not look back. The lady in black watched him leave like a cat watching a mouse. Then she gathered her fur stole about her shoulders, stood up, and stalked across the crowded room, followed by her bodyguards. What she and her assistants didn't know that two beady eyes were watching her make her escape. The beady eyes belonged to the conductor of the band, peering out over the top of his music stand. He had been watching very carefully. Now, let's just stop and have a good look at this man. Let's really squint at him. Hang on. I think that small and rather round little man might not actually be a man at all. I think it might be a penguin. A penguin in disguise. Yes, he's squeezed into a smart white dinner jacket with a jazzy bow tie, and he has neatly shingled hair. It's a wig, I'm sure of it. But beneath all of that, he's definitely a penguin. The beak, despite the fake moustache stuck to the end of it, is a dead giveaway. It's Mr. Penguin. Let's see what he's up to. Mr. Penguin watched the lady and her bodyguards snake across the dance floor. He narrowed his eyes, judging the moment just right. He raised his baton, and at a flick of his flipper, the band started to play again. Drums rolled, trumpets popped, and an elderly woman with an enormous tuba on her lap and a pigeon on her head puffed out her cheeks and blew hard. Parp! A rather large large spider flew from the tuba, his thick monobrow furrowed. With concentration, he whistled through the warm night air, swinging a lasso made from a strand of shimmering web above his head. "Go get them, Colin!" Mr. Penguin cried as he flew. The spider nodded in a businesslike fashion and took out a notepad from under his bow tie. He wrote a message on it with a thick marker pen. It said, "I'm on it, Mr. Penguin." Then he sashed the pad away neatly before landing with a dramatic roll right in front of the glamorous lady in the black dress. She gasped, and so did everyone else. The band stopped playing. The dancers all stopped prancing and stared. The only sound was a moth's wings flapping around the lanterns. The lady narrowed her eyes and scowled. One of her bodyguards lifted his enormous foot to stamp on Colin the spider. But little did they know that Colin was a kung fu master, and he was more than ready for them. And that is the end of chapter 1. Bye.